Ossett Yorkshire Blonde.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got one here today from People's Republic of Yorkshire.
The sacred sod of God's own county, Yorkshire.
And it's the Ossett Brewery Yorkshire Blonde, which has got a picture of two people with flat caps on. And I'm sure they're looking for where their whippets have gone. Why do I do this? I am so fucking dead. In July, I'm not telling you the date, but in July I am actually venturing up to Yorkshire. It's definite, it's all booked up, it's ready to go. The virus ain't going to stop us.
Oh, here he goes.
I've got a trip planned up to York. I'm hoping to check out some breweries. I'm definitely going to check out the House of Trembling Madness, buy a few beers in there. Hopefully, I won't be buying any foreign beers, it'll all be local beers. I want to try, and I'm hoping that they do some local brews in there, which I won't be able to get down here, some of the Crompton stuff, but I really don't know. I don't know what they've got. And that's going to be my mission. It's not going to be just going up there and buying German stuff or Belgian stuff. I can do that on Beers of Europe or somewhere else. I want to try and get some local stuff. So there may be some reviews coming from People's Republic of Yorkshire.
If I wanted cheeky monkey, I'd have gone to Cheeky Monkey's R Us.
Anyway, I've got to stop doing that. Fuck, I don't know what it is. It's like Yorkshire Tourette's. Anyway, this is a pale session ale from the Ossett Brewery. The first one I think I've had from them, and they're based in a place called Ossett, funny enough, which is near Wakefield, in the West Riding of York.
Not a bloody clue. Absolutely bloody clueless.
But it's based up there, and it's a brewery I have not come across before. This is the first one that I've tried, or it will be the first one I try from them, and they're available now in Morrison's down here in Kent. And Morrison's really have impressed me. I went in there the other day when I picked this up, and they do Paulana Weiss beer now, which is really good. I cannot knock their beer selection. It's probably one of the best I've seen. It's got Morrison's have got the Pavel Quack, the beer sells Pavel Quack. They've got the Vesmal Triple for £2.50 a bottle. I mean, fucking hell, you cannot go wrong with that. They even do Chimay. Now, even if they just did the Vesmal, I'd say that was great, but they do Chimay as well. Two fantastic Trappist brewers. They're doing their beers very cheaply as well, and they're good. One's a triple, one's a blonde. The Chimay is the blonde. Very nice indeed. And you've got the Hofbrau stuff, and then you've also got the usual caper with, the Franciscana and all that. But they've started doing quite a few craft beers as well. So if you're into your craft beers, then you're going to love what Morrison's have got. It really is extensive. To be honest, I'm not going to review them because there's probably loads of people out there reviewing them, and not many people reviewing this stuff. So that's why I do it. And yeah, I may review a fair amount of German beer and Belgian beer and British stuff as well, but it's because it's what I like. I'm not a huge fan of craft beer, if truth be told. I don't mind it. A decent New England. I was drinking a really nice New England the other day, actually. I haven't got a problem with craft brewers. It's just I prefer the traditional stuff. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like too much the fruity nature of a lot of the craft beers. But anyway, this is what I'm reviewing today, and it looks quite good. And actually, it's got a strange. I'll go over the ingredients in the next section. I'm not going to go too much over it here, but it's quite interesting what they've done, and it's a shame. I should rephrase that. I'm saying it's a shame that Morrison's have chosen to sell their blonde ale. It's not a shame. It's a fucking good move, I think. But rather see some of their bitters and some of the darker beers that this brewery do, but I do get why they haven't done it, because Morrison's do Old Peculiar, they do Adnams Broadside, and you know, the Guinness West Indies Porter and stuff. So I really cannot knock their beers. Now, a subscriber told me the other week that it all depends on the Morrison's you go to. If it's a big supermarket, then you're going to get these beers. If it's the smaller one, you're probably not going to get all these. So when you hear me talking about these types of beers, I do mean the bigger stores. Anyway, a little bit about the Ossett Brewery. They've been going since 1998. They do quite a wide range of beers, and as I say, they're based in Yorkshire, the West Riding of Yorkshire, near Wakefield, and they look like they talk a good fight. They do some good beers on paper, and they make a big thing about taking pride in what they do. So this could potentially be a good one. Now, it's a pale session ale. They've called it Yorkshire Blonde. Blonde ale is a style of beer, pale ale is a style of beer. I think that's a little bit confusing. Some people might think it's a blonde ale, and British blonde ales, or golden ales as they're called, they're very hit and miss. I've had some bad ones, I've had some good ones. I had the Wadworth stuff the other day, that was fantastic. I must put that review up. Wadworth, great brewer from Wiltshire, Swindon in fact, and I had that Wadworth stuck in the fridge for ages, and I haven't got an aversion to golden ale, but I'm wary of it, because as I say, it can be really good or it can be absolutely terrible. But that was in the fridge for ages. I left it for a while, and when the fridge was doing old Mother Hubbard, I thought, oh fuck it, I'll review it, and it was great. It was perfectly balanced, very smooth, brilliant. So the stars aligned for that one. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get on to the beer. Right, before we open it up, let's have a quick gander and see what it is. Right, it's a pale session ale, 3.9%, and on the back it says contains wheat, malted barley, malted wheat, hops, yeast, blah blah blah. It does say that it's quite full bodied, so that will explain the wheat. So the wheat is giving it its body in there. This beer pays homage to our stunning Yorkshire heartland, the inspiration behind everything we brew. This pale ale is full bodied, well rounded, and slightly sweet on the palate. I'll tell you why that is in a minute. A generous addition of Mount Hood hops late in the boil result in a delicate fruity aroma, and it's because of the Mount Hood hops. Now, Mount Hood hops are used a fair amount. I wouldn't say they're the most popular choice for a lot of brewers for certain beers, but they've used it in this, and it does contain very sweet herbal type flavours. Green fruit, that's what you're looking at, almost like a noble type hop. And yeah, you do find them in certain British beers, not often though. It's not one of the most commonly used hops, but it does have that sweetness to it which some brewers like, and that green fruit flavour which you do sometimes get in British beers, and especially the lighter coloured British beers. There's a little bit about the brewery. A progressive and passionate independent brewery located in the heart of Yorkshire, born of family values, unity, teamwork and integrity. Fucking hell, that don't sound like the fellas I work with. Crafted over 2 decades, we've perfected the science of producing ales consistently high quality and honed the art of brewing beers that are loved by all. Now, this has been going since I think 2009. I think this was the first time this was brewed. It doesn't say it on here, but I did a little bit of research before. So yeah, that's what this is about. Let's get it open and see how good it is. Right. As I say, first one from this lot. There's the cap. I've got to get behind the fucking... I've worked that out now. That camera don't like my ugly boat. And I'm trying to put the caps up for viewing. Right, let's get it in the glass, see what's going on. Wow, that is light, isn't it? It really is a pale ale. Fair amount of carbonation in there as well. A lot of carbonation. Look at that. That is fucking going for it. That's almost like a Belgian. Look, can you see that? Look. Look at all that carbonation. There's fucking loads of it. We're getting on the nose. Yeah. Sweet herbal notes. And there's a slightly sour apple type aroma, but it's not the sour apple that starts alarm bells ringing with me now. Sour type apple or green fruit flavour can be a bad or off flavour in beer. It's where the beer oxidizes, and basically wild yeast from the air attacks it doesn't attack it, it starts feeding on it, and it produces its own style of flavours, if you like, and it gives it a sour taste, and it's not nice if you get it in a British beer out of a pump or cask or whatever. It just isn't nice. It's very unpleasant, but this hasn't got that. This is very herbal, quite fruity as well, grassy, and there's like a, what is that? There's another, there's a slight sourness to it, which occasionally you get in certain pale ales or golden ales, but it does smell quite hoppy. Hoppy and fruity, that's what. Hoppy, herbal, grass, and fruit. When I say hoppy, I mean like a slight bitterness, grassy bitterness, if you know what I mean. Some might construe that as green fruit. When you say green fruit, you're talking about the skin of an apple or a pear or something like that. It doesn't smell too bad. The aromas are not big, but they're there. And let me just get the whole lot into the glass. There you go. Nice. A lot of carbonation in there, I will say that. Let's see if it transfers to the mouth. So let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. It's very light mouthfeel, that is. More of that fruity style flavour. And it's typically English, that is. That is a typical English pale ale. There's nothing American about that at all. If you're buying this and you're thinking you're going to get one of these craft brewed American pale ales, nah, this is very British, or very English I should say. And that's what you tend to get in Yorkshire brewers, traditional Yorkshire brewers. It's not bad. It isn't bad at all. I'll tell you what it has got. It's got a big body on it, but it feels quite light on the palate, which is no mean feat, because you either sacrifice one for the other. You get quite a big hefty body on it, and you really do get a lot of flavour, but there's a lot of body on this, and it's very light. It's almost lager-esque in terms of mouthfeel and body. In terms of mouthfeel, but the body is definitely big. Oh, that really is good. There's a little bit of a biscuit malt on the finish, but it's just mainly fruit, green fruit. And there is that biscuit malt in there as well, but it's mainly that green fruit, grassy, herbal type notes. But it's so drinkable. It really is. There's no massive flavours in there. Most of the big flavours come at the end, and they're a little bit subdued, but they're there, and it makes it very, very drinkable indeed. And when they say session pale ale or pale session ale, this is a session ale, believe me. Oh, that is good. That is really good. What's winning me over is not so much the flavour, but the drinkability of it. It's got a light mouthfeel, but a heavy body. I know I keep repeating myself, but that's quite unique. Now, if I was to compare this with the Hepworth Sussex Pale Ale, which in my opinion is a fantastic pale ale, that's got a ton of biscuit malt on the finish. And yes, it certainly is sessionable and drinkable too. But this, it hasn't got that big biscuit malt finish. It's got some, but not a lot. But the emphasis for me, or the outstanding quality for this, is its light mouthfeel. It really is good. Now that's about cellar temperature. I've taken it out of the fridge. I've left it for a bit. It's quite warm at the moment, and I'd say that is about cellar temperature, and it just really is good. Very balanced, but you get a mixture of them flavours at the end. Not spiky. Yeah, well, there's probably a little bit more fruity, herbal emphasis rather than malty. But the malt is there, but it's really good, and it's going down an absolute storm. I mean, I've drunk that already, and to be honest, I could probably down that in another couple of minutes. It's that good. Very light coloured. It looks almost like a lager, and it has got a fair bit in keeping with a lager. But you've got to remember, that's what pale ale looked like in the 70s. If you remember, I remember it as a kid and sort of a young teenager. Double Diamond, which was touted as being a pale ale. Double Diamond was more or less that colour, maybe a little bit darker, but what was the other one? Was it Worthington E? I mean, that was the sort of shit you got served up, you know, when I was growing up, when I first left school. But this isn't a throwback to that. This has got a little bit more of a care taken into it, and it's just really good. I really like it. I had my doubts. I walked into Morrison's and I saw this and I thought, there's some good German beer, there's some good foreign beer. I may as well just pick this up just so as I can review it, and I'm glad I did, because that is really good. So what's the verdict on Ossett Yorkshire Blonde? I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be a very average, run-of-the-mill, what would you call it, keg filler. But it isn't. That's really good. But for me, the selling point is the mouthfeel. It's so light, but it's so full-bodied. And that takes a lot of doing. That's quite a skillful trait for a brewer, especially in a light-coloured beer. And so many brewers try to brew either a pale ale or even a golden ale, and they get it so wrong. But this, for me, is a real good one. It's a tough decision, because one of my favourite English pale ales is the Hepworth, the Sussex, and I think it may have a little bit of a contender here. The Hepworth Sussex has a lot of that biscuit malt finish, which is lovely, and it makes it so moorish. But it doesn't have that light palate. It doesn't have the nice big fruity hops that you got on this as well. So I don't know, it's a toss up between the two, it really is. If the perfect pale ale, English pale ale for me, would be this on the palate and the Hepworth Sussex on the finish, that would be just absolutely sublime. But sadly it's not. But this is a great beer, I love it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And the reason I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10, I think for all this quality, I mean, it's got some great body on that, lovely light palate, nice herbal, grassy notes, not so much of a malty finish on it, but it's just really drinkable. 3.9%, very good session ale. Everything considered, I still prefer, I think, the Hepworth Sussex, but it's a very close thing. I should get the two of them and do a shootout between the two, because that would be, in my eyes, so far from what I've tried, the pale ales, two of the best pale ales on, well, certainly on the supermarket shelves. So yeah, maybe that's one for the future, a bit of a shootout between them two, because they're two good ones. That for me is a 9 out of 10. It's definitely recommended. Maybe if I drank more of it, it'd give it a better mark, and I should shoot it out really with that Sussex. So watch this space, that could happen. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.